Human Design Foundation Analysis by Veronica de Boer. This is your human design chart, which represents your genetic imprint and how you're unique. The chart shows your energetic circuit and how it works within you. The geometric shapes are called centers. The colored ones work consistently in you, and thus you can trust them. And they also influence other people and groups. The white center, the heart, or also called the will center, works inconsistently in you, and it is a place where you yourself get influenced by other people, and thus you cannot trust it. Since you have 8 colored centers, this means that you are a person who is pretty much designed not to be influenced by others, but to bring your energetic influence upon the rest in order to achieve your life purpose. You're an emotional, splenic generator 2-4, born under the incarnation cross of laws. The red square at the bottom of the chart is your sacral center, which gives you your type. You are a generator type. This sacral motor is deeply tied to the body and has a knowing of what we need and what we don't need, for what our energy is available and for what it is not. Generators have an open and enveloping aura. They are designed to respond to life itself. They are not here to initiate things, to start things, but instead they are here to wait for things to come to them, for life to knock on their door. And it will, because the generator aura attracts opportunities, experiences, and people to oneself. They are here to act out of a deep, satisfying response. When life gives you an opportunity, an experience, or meet you with another person, your sacral center will respond either by moving towards or away from things. It is a feeling coming from your guts. When you're offered something you like, you will feel that you have energy for that you're available for that experience. Your body will move towards it, or you will hear yourself saying, or aha, yes. If you're offered something you don't like, you will feel that you don't have energy for that. Your body will move away, or you will hear yourself saying, no. Or there will be no gut response. I don't know yet. When this gut response comes without you thinking about it, this is your truth. Mind, though, that your truth is not in the now. You can never trust the current moment. It takes time for you to be clear about your aha or The brown triangle on the right-hand side in your chart is colored, which means you have consistent emotional energy. For the emotional person, it takes time for the pieces of the puzzle to get together and reveal the entire picture. The emotional energy moves in a wave. It is a wave that goes up to a peak of hope, where everything is wonderful, and then goes sliding down to a place of pain, where everything is horrible, and goes back up again, and so on and so on. It never stops. The emotional center, called solar plexus, releases a wave pattern that is experienced as a cycle from expectation to disappointment, from joy to despair and back again. Our evolutionary process is about recognizing the wave pattern, accepting it, and eventually transcending it. This is laying the foundation for the spirit to emerge. Understanding the frequency of the emotional motor is a prerequisite for creating emotional stability. To reach clarity of the gut response for the emotional person is based on waiting out the wave. It is not about jumping at a decision on either end. It is not jumping at a decision in desperation at the low end, nor jumping in an excitement at the high end. This is not about controlling anything. You cannot control emotions. It is about waiting out the wave. Waiting, though, can be extremely difficult for emotional beings because they want to directly dive into things in the peak of that emotional moment of joy or desperation. They're afraid they're going to miss opportunities. But they will not miss anything, because if it is the right opportunity, the right person, or the right experience, they will wait for you. And this waiting will create tension, which is very healthy. In fact, emotional people should play hard to get. Only after they've experienced the circumstances and people through both ends of their emotional wave, they can be clear about their response. Your specific wave is of sudden peaks and lows. If you don't see your mood cycle for what it is, the wave frequency of the solar plexus, then a result may be eating disorders. You also have a triple split definition. This means that there are 3 areas in your chart that don't have a connection between each other. It is like 3 different people are living inside of you. And these 3 areas, these 3 people, get connected and process the whole picture with time. You need time to connect these 3 areas in order to feel whole and to be clear. But usually, triple split people can be very impatient. They often act hasty and can look like they are pushed from their inner impulse and might seem ambitious and aggressive. They are designed to spend time with other people and pass through many auras within one day. This is healthy for them. But mind that you are designed to be a triple split. There is nothing missing. Nothing is wrong with you. You don't have to cling to groups of people and become dependent. It's good for you to spend time with different groups of people, but you also need rest. Your alone time is very important. From time to time you will feel social fatigue anyways, and you will want to withdraw with yourself. And that's you. By waiting to respond, instead of initiating from what your brilliant mind thinks you should do, and waiting out your wave to be clear about your response, you will avoid frustration, feeling stuck, and not being able to finish things and quit. When you're in an alignment with your emotional generator energy, you will be able to get to a place of satisfaction, doing the correct things that you love doing, and fulfilling your life purpose. Resistance, feeling stuck, or quitting out of pure frustration are signposts of wrong or hastily taken decisions. They are your red flags that you're off course. Your chart carries the channel of mutation. This is a very individual energy which fluctuates and initiates change. These people have the capacity to empower and stimulate change in situations, in status, or in others, and bring growth. They can eliminate old limitations, bring a new order, or establish new limitations. Their gift is to bring change, but keep the connection with the old order. They bring continuity, and at the same time the opportunity for change and mutation. But transformation happens suddenly, in a pulse. It cannot be controlled. For example, these people change and mutate those who have contact with them. If you wait to respond, and then wait out your emotional wave so that you're clear about your response, the changes you bring are always correct. This is great potential. At the same time, you might feel internal instability which both accepts and rejects authority simultaneously. You project confusion and people might want to guide you. Through accepting the confusion, you can transcend it to a new order, which is your own order. You might feel restricted by the old, by the limitations, and look for inner meaning of the restrictions instead of looking for harmonic application within the limitations. Or you might feel fixed in accepting the limitation to such an extent that you might feel stuck in it. Your moral values and understanding of rules might be so fixed that you can act brutally, uncompromising, and with severe acceptance of the restraints. These are people who want something new, things to change. But the key is to accept the limitations, to work within it. Only then they can be transcended. Otherwise, limitations lead to chronic melancholy, which can turn into deep depression. The melancholy and your moodiness are actually a gift. They give you great depth and access to a very creative place in you. And this can be very empowering for others. Most love songs and poetry have been created by emotional people on the down part of their wave. When you're down, it is time for you to turn to yourself and be creative. It is not time to be out among people. Otherwise, others will reflect your mood and will be a pain, or they will nag at you. On the other hand, when you feel great, when you're up, it is time to be outside and share yourself with others. This is if you feel response to do that, of course, if you're in the mood. Then you will be very attractive and you will receive juicy proposals. Your emotional expressiveness is seen as very beautiful and people will be drawn to you. Still, don't jump into things immediately. Patience and being clear is really the key. You're here to provoke analysis, assessment, and reevaluation, and have the natural gift for solving problems. These are people who have the ability to guide and nurture others and might provoke solving them by attempting to solve their problems. Your gifts are here for the other, not for yourself. Otherwise, you might abuse your gift to dominate or aggrandize yourself. This emotional drive should be used for the benefit of others. You will always provoke them, and this can be very empowering or not, if it is an ego dominance. You are here to provoke in order to find the right spirit. You have inner knowing, which sometimes is there and you just know, or it is not and you might feel confused. If you wait out your emotional wave and respond correctly, you will meet the right people in situations which will not feel provoked or irritated. If somebody feels irritated by you, then they are not the right people for you at this moment. If someone comes into your life, imagine you have to eat together. If it feels good, then it's correct for you. Also, you have to eat only when you're in the mood for that. It's important in your relations with others that you have field for development and get engaged with people who know more than you or have bigger experience, have the knowledge you need and are valuable to you. Inferior forces make you surpass their inferiority easily. And this is something you should not violate. It is your personal law, which protects you and helps you expand. This energy operates in a pulse, where the knowing is not always there, but then suddenly there's a breakthrough and you just know. You might feel the pressure to challenge. These people might ignore, be deaf-like, because they're in their inner process. Often, they might be misunderstood by others. They carry stubbornness, which can overcome the odds, but worth is only this fight, which brings value to life. Such a being should fight for things they clearly respond to. You are drawn to recognize people who provoke others and are fighters, as this is your nodal environment. Your purpose can be fulfilled in this setting. You are attuned to see potential in fighting for what is worth and provoking to find the right spirit, which with correct timing and through response and waiting out your emotional wave can be expressed and can empower others. When necessary, you can retreat and tune into your administrative capacity. You carry the channel of judgment, sharing correction and logical models for a safe future. It is the love of life, the vitality which fuels life and causes us to want to perpetuate it. It is like it is saying more and better, more and better. It is about knowing what works and likewise knowing what doesn't work. These are people that will share with you the correction you need or the correction they think you need. This can be either useful or not. They will call an alert to every problem they observe because they want to perfect the model, test it and reach a point where it is secure to ensure the future and then share it with others. When it is functioning at its highest level, this channel can keep society on track to a better future and serve us all through this awareness. But you should only share your correction if you're invited to do so. Otherwise, you will not be heard and people will only be irritated by you. You're here to correct things which really matter. not waste your time on correcting the wrinkles on the tablecloth. You're here for much bigger things. You have the fuel to challenge every incorrect authority, but you should do that only after you've been recognized and invited and asked to do so. Only then, if you feel that you respond to that correctly, you should get it. What you need to know, your inner truth, is that life is beautiful. You feel the love of life and the joyful harmony in the process of existing. This is an aesthetic appreciation of life's beauty and wonder, which will come to you in cycles. These are people that have the energy to enjoy perverse stimulation, which can lead to indulgence and decadence. Such people get all kinds of crazy offers because they project they're open to anything. What you feel you need to communicate, to deliver as a message, is about your independency from others, the desire to challenge authorities and be the alpha wolf and lead others. But at times, you will feel that you need the other after all. You might have this vibrant, electrical vitality which empowers itself independently of others. But you do need the group to realize changes and bring you order. And the price you pay when you don't follow your law, the consequences when you're not correct, will be instability when trying to hold on to the traditional models, although you see that circumstances are changing. These people have the potential to correct, but might feel fossilized to sticking with models they have been raised with and deny correction. But if correction is really needed, and it brings a feeling of worth, you should go for it, because it comes out of your impulse to perfect. You're one of these people who feel grounded and find stability in preserving their values, guided by the rules and laws of the community or the family they have been raised in. Sticking to their values will inevitably bring opposition and adversity. Sometimes you might enjoy overcoming the hardships, and other times you might feel discomfort and withdraw. There is this inherent fear of responsibility. These people are here to function with the support of the family, friends, and close ones. Something really mystical in you, which is like it is covered by a veil, is that when you're faced with disorder, you stay balanced, maintain composure, and can derive the maximum from any limitation. But sometimes, this same trait will cost you the progress. You might keep an unrealistic pace that begs misfortune, feel way too energized, with uncontrollable feelings and accompanying emotional outbursts that may lead to emotional collapse. Your personal law, what you should subordinate in your life to, and which makes you feel like you act correctly, is being cautious, listening carefully, and waiting. You should only act when you're in the mood, and then you will have the possibility for emotional awareness. If you follow that personal law, you will be able to behave like yourself, individualistically, in social interactions and successfully transgress behavioral codes which you might feel limiting. The price you pay when you disregard your law is to be perceived as the prima donna. Such people have the determination to succeed or to be treated as a success before it has been even realized. What is really unusual and different in you is the crisis which you bring to others. Sometimes, out of nowhere, you can hear yourself say scandalous things to other people, which might be very accurate and cause disorder and crisis in the other person. It can feel very uncomfortable for others when you suddenly burst emotionally. But a new order can be created out of this chaos if it is the right timing. It is healthy for such beings to be entirely absorbed in their process and experiences. Through attunement to challenges, they get the potential for being centered and true to themselves. The insecurity of the self might be manifested in times of challenge, and you may act without a motive. These are beings who are able to love a flower as much as they love a person. It is loving the existence without discrimination. staying innocent and spontaneous while honoring their emotional nature and being patient. The channel of leadership. You have leadership qualities which are your unrefined energy. This is an exceptional resource which needs to mature. However, such people might insist to lead others in an authoritarian manner. They think that they know best what models others should follow and want to bring their influence, but they can only lead others after their skills have been recognized and they are invited into such a leadership role. You might hear yourself say, I lead, but you need to be chosen to lead in a democratic way by others. You need others to support you and give you energy so you can realize your leadership potential. Your influence will be successful depending on your ability to come up with a logical model which works. Only then you will be able to bring quality leadership and thus you will agree to lead. Only when you're sure that you will get everything right and the success is guaranteed. If you don't feel that your contribution to society will be successful, you might retreat. You can only lead by personal example and your words should correspond to your actions. Otherwise, you will be perceived as a hypocrite. It will be difficult for you to follow other leaders, and if you cannot be the alpha wolf, you will prefer to retreat. What is pushing you to stand up and manifest, where your focus and your impulses is in contemplating in the present. You might feel that you see the whole movie, all the detail of the entire picture here and now. Others project on you that you know exactly what is happening at the current moment, but you don't always know. Your drive is to perfect the form, and you will clearly see what has to be corrected. This might bring you unpleasant feelings and dissatisfaction. It is hard to see why life is worth surviving with all this ugliness around. It might feel to others that you are a complainer type, but it is just that you are a realist. Your environment, circumstances, people, and qualities are designed to strive in and are rooted in the mechanical capacity for detail. You will notice that opinions should be rooted in the details and depend on people's capacity to support their opinion with details, facts, formulas, etc. What is needed is caution, patience, and the right details. Otherwise, sharing will be premature. People need to fantasize, look at things at every possible angle, and scrutinize all the details before they speak out or act. You will see how people are rebellious and want to express themselves before the logical concepts are tested, how they act prematurely trying to convince others in their concepts, and how they meet resistance. If they first test and experiment in their imagination until the right moment comes to share with others their insights, things will go much smoother. Your values, positions, and rules, the attunement to right or wrong, are rooted in self-defense. Such people have individual insights, attract attention, and can easily be cast out. They are nervous about projecting their inner knowing outside and might not share their wisdom with others, or might get worried about preserving the harmony and lose their individual knowing. You might feel very vulnerable to criticism or being dismissed, and this might block your capacity and security for speaking out your insights. Or you might not share your inner knowing so that others don't try to influence you. But you're here to project your inner knowing. It is very empowering for others. It is a gift you bring for the sake of others, and it can be very inspiring. You feel grounded and stability in your capacity to ponder upon the past. Your voice might be full of hope or despair because you have the voice of faith. You're good to share stories with others. You can deliver the message and the idea via the story, but don't get caught in leaving it out. Wait for the opportunity to stimulate others. You don't have to believe your story. You don't have to put yourself in your story in order to make others notice you, because you will always be going to be challenged. The message you need to communicate is that transformation and renewal are a natural and spontaneous process. These are deep thinker beings, and when they get an aha moment, they can bring mutation and change. Often, it might look that they are missing something. The truth is, they see things, just that they don't know if these things will bring mutation. Often, there can be an irrational suspicion that distorts the focus and can lead to missed opportunities. There is a possibility of being deaf when opportunity knocks on the door. The only thing which is worth knowing is what leads to mutation and new direction. If they don't have it in their life, such people, they get suppressed. All the time I ignore the opportunities and jump from one thing to the other, trying to find that one thing that will eventually mutate and change. Don't worry about any missed opportunities and chances. What can you know? What is unknowable? What is knowable but is not relevant to you and your life? Those are important questions. Know thyself. This is the only thing worth knowing. Everything else is secondary. If you have knowledge which you don't want to disclose, it disappears, has no value for the world, because it doesn't mutate, doesn't change. It has to be expressed and heard. You have the gate of doubt. You don't need to feel discomfort. The doubts are at the beginning of the process of understanding. Doubts come when there is something unclear in the model. It feeds the fear for the collective future, trying to project the future, the correct model. Nostalgia. This is something in you. It's the fuel for questions where you don't look only for answers, but all the details. Then experiment, correct, perfect, concentrate, focus, and come in the role of the leader, leading and directing society on its way to the future, to a safe future. You have the channel of awareness. These people tend to think that sooner or later, if they think long enough about something, they will find the truth about it. They can empower people's minds to start racing and because of their moodiness, they can leave people euphoric or depressed for no reason. These people bring the unknowable to the world. Sometimes they even make it knowable. This can be very empowering and inspiring. The focus of your mind, what pulls you, what is your impulse to get up and manifest, this is what feeds up the individual insight and the unique inspiration, or leads to self-delusion and madness. You carry the pressure to know the absolute. This is a unique inspiration for fight and provocation. When you're recognized and invited to share your inner knowing, and if you go for it through your sacred response and with emotional clarity, there will be abundance, because it is strictly a question of spirit. If you try to speak when you haven't been asked, others may dismiss your knowing, and you may get moody. Your environment, circumstances, people, and qualities around which you're designed to strive in are rooted in mystery. You're drawn to recognize people who are role models of knowing insights, as this is your nodal environment. Your purpose can be fulfilled in this setting. You're attuned to see the potential in spontaneous breakthroughs, which with correct timing and through response can be expressed as unique answers to make things more efficient. Such people can empower others very deeply. The ego, the willpower. This is your only open center without a single activation in your whole chart, and is where the whole point for you is going to be. The open centers are amplifiers of energy. Here is where you're open to experience the energies around you and where you're receiving what other people are broadcasting. The undefined areas are places where we, the students, go to the school of life to learn. The openness is where you're here to develop wisdom in this lifetime. Your open heart center does not know what or who is worthy of engaging with in life. In fact, it wants continuously to prove that you're worth it. It may tell you that you need to endlessly prove and improve yourself. You might try to overcompensate by promising too much. It's a slippery slope of overpromising and not being able to live up to those many promises. These might lead to damaging your ego or developing physical, heart, or even possibly stomach issues like ulcers and so on. You're attracted to others that have the capacity to take control or be in control. And since you have this alpha leader's energy, your mind will be even more inclined to tell you it's best for you to be in control. When you wait for the opportunities to come to you, call you, and you respond with your authentic life force energy and with emotional clarity, you will find the right people who can maintain control of important situations and fulfill their promises with ease. You're here to gain the wisdom of recognizing who can correctly make and keep their promises. You personally have nothing to prove. Although your mind might think that it's imperative to continuously prove or improve yourself. And especially tricky is proving to your own self, to your own expectations. It's impossible to measure your worth because you're limitless, you're an infinite, and this cannot be measured. You're worthy because you exist, because you're alive, and you are unique. No choice in that. Loving yourself, discovering yourself, and following your emotional authority empowers you to feel the satisfaction of knowing your infinite worth. The costume you wear in this life to achieve your purpose is of a hermit, opportunist, a 2-4 profile. These people are missionaries. This is the possibility and the need to be called out to interact with the world and externalize that call. Education is absolutely essential. It is the need for education that when the second line does get called out, it does not collapse and become a paper tiger. It is important to keep in mind that in the modern world, education is equivalent to strength and ignorance is equivalent to weakness. And the second line profile has no natural inclination to investigate and learn. It would simply like to be left alone to deal with life existentially. This is a hermit personality, doing their own thing until they're called out, waiting for an opportunity that these people do not know they're waiting for because they cannot see their own potential. It is always a surprise to them when someone can look through their window and see something in them that they cannot see themselves. They say, I don't know why it works, how it works, but I'm doing great, leave me alone. You look inside their window and they're doing something and you're, wow, I wish he could teach me that. You knock on their door and they say, leave me alone. Wow, you have so much potential, people say to you. But you're paranoid, you know people are going to bother you to break your pattern. Your success in life will be determined by the call of others though. This is why it is important with who you hang out. What is your environment, who your friends are, and what your network is. Because this is where your opportunities will come from. Never leave your work or your boyfriend before you have another one. First, you have to build a network before you move to a new place. For instance, when you want to move to a new house or you want to buy a new car, first sell your old car. First find a new home, find a new car before you change. Otherwise, it may take a long time before you get an opportunity. The trick is to accept the call that is correct via your emotional authority. Combine that with an acceptance of study and it can bring advantages. Since these people are designed to be called, they're often called, and in so many ways through their life that they can become overwhelmed and exhausted. You must wait for the interest of the other. Friendship is a necessary prerequisite before sexual intimacy can result. That's why such people are designed to seek out friendship in order to eventually establish sexual intimacy. It is so important to avoid the frustration of trying to pursue. The second line is inherently shy. It has to wait for the other to reach out and then respond with emotional clarity. There is this underlying intuition to focus on what is relatively pure, what is corrupt or what is incorruptible. This guides these people in assessing the value or quality of any call. It will not leave its cave, such person will not leave its cave without absolute certainty that the call is his destiny. When others look into their cave and witness their transformation, it can have deep and lasting impact on society. It can even mutate a new order. And since you're the cross of laws, those who come on this cross bring the law, the rules, the commandments, and the tenets. The law itself and the creation of rules are in essence a kind of art. Initiation is all about the fulfillment of mutation. Something new has to come out of the old order. And this is where we have the establishment of the first laws, the capacity to create rules, law and order. It is a mutative and creative process. Individualistic energy that brings the deepest of melancholic chemistry. Thus, deep depression is always a potential. Limitation is inherent at the same time in laws and rules. A child on this cross without any rules is going to be very disturbed. They expect them, need them, and deep down inside know this. There is no way in which all of us can operate in our vast collective relationships without rules and order. You are grounded through the tribal lawgiver, the values that establish the laws and are essential for the tribe itself, for the whole society, in order to preserve the community and protect the young. These people are idealists. It is all about ideas, always being stimulated by and trying to stimulate others with their idealism. Our greatest conflict is the inner conflict about whether mind will be allowed to have authority or not. Here mind is deeply authoritative, because the mind is pointing towards concepts that will lead to rules and laws based on the ideals of those concepts, talking about the dream, the ideal, the perfection. Well, you are perfect, you are valuable, you are unique. Learn to love yourself as you are. Wait to respond and wait to process emotionally what life brings you, and you will get to a place of deep satisfaction and peaceful silence. Enjoy your movie. It is yours to live.